Voices you can trust, always.
Dear Mom, it's bedtime. It's time to use Pampers for another dry night.
Thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Newstrack on Channels Television. I'm Joka Rogers.
And I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Here are some of the stories and reports that we're tracking at this hour. It's a dark Friday, or it was a dark Friday in Taro community in Plateau State, as Fulani herdsmen clash with indigents of 3 villages, killing at least 28 residents. A military spokesman in Jos, the capital of Plateau State, Salisu Mustafa, told journalists that security forces responded by killing 20 gunmen. The Fulani herdsmen were thought to be behind the attack on the Taro community after hundreds of their cattle were stolen.
2 villages in a nearby Fulani and Hausa community were subsequently burnt and the residents had to flee. But an attack of such ferocity is unusual in the remote area, which is about 240 kilometers south of Jos, the state capital. A Fulani spokesman in the area denied the military allegations that the mainly Muslim community was involved in the attack. Sanihu Jauro said that about 1,000 heads of cattle had been stolen earlier this week from Fulani herdsmen, and repeated complaints to the authorities had failed to get help.
Well, the Nigerian Army says it has, in the last 1 year, keyed into the transformation agenda of the federal government through its various activities to ensure the protection of the nation's democracy. The Chief of Army Civil-Military Relations, Major General Bolaji Kolosho, who disclosed this while briefing journalists on the 2013 Army Day celebration, added that it has done this through improved professionalism and respect for the rule of law. He then added that the Army is poised to continue to tackle insecurity to ensure that the country gets rid of criminals.
Army has over the past 1 year keyed in on the gains of the transformation agenda of Mr. President by creating an enabling environment for democracy to flourish. The transformation agenda of the federal government has been the source of direction for the Chief of Army Staff, who has provided, no doubt, inspirational leadership by taking the Nigerian Army to greater heights of professionalism and excellence. It is an army that is poised under the very, very able leadership and professional leadership of Lieutenant General Onyeabu Azubike Ejirika to really face the challenges, security challenges of the nation, and make sure that we're always on top of the game.
The Sultan of Sokoto, Mohammed Saad Abubakar III, has advised political leaders to work towards resolving the current security challenges being faced in the country. Speaking at the Nupe Day celebration in Sokoto, the Sultan advocated the need for peace by the 2 major religions in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Niger State Governor, Dr. Muazu Aliyu, appealed to Nigerians to be united, saying people who go about destroying others' lives and property will eventually compromise peace and security.
The insecurity problems have been created for us. We must find solutions to these problems. I do not believe that all what's been happening either in Northeast or any part thereof is the creation of Nigerians. Nigerians are good people.
Those of us who are good, who understand human beings, who understand the workings of God, must come together to unite people, must come together to articulate and aggregate the interests of the people so that we can negotiate with anybody. Whoever God gives us, we will accept. But we will accept him also on the terms that we agreed and that we honor agreement. And this is one other thing that I respect the Nupe culture. When the Nupe man says yes, he stands by that.
Or the federal government may have decided that it would defend the recent execution of 4 convicts in Edo State, which ended a 7-year moratorium on the death penalty in the country. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Olugbenga Ashiru, at a consultative forum on the forthcoming review of human rights in Nigeria under the UN Universal Period Review, acknowledged that executions in Edo State would likely come up when the country appears before the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva this October for a periodic review of its human rights. The minister said that state governments are autonomous in Nigeria, and for the execution which happened in Edo State, the governor, Adams Oshomole, acted within the confines of the law. The June the 24th execution in Edo State had been criticized by the United Kingdom or by the UK government, the United Nations and the EU High Representative to Nigeria.
Medical tourism remains a major source of leakage in Nigeria's economy. Well, this is according to the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Lamido Sanusi. Well, in his town hall meeting with the Nigerian physicians working in the United States, the participants considered the amount of resources which leave the country through medical treatment abroad. Our correspondent Doris Okenwa reports.
The town hall meeting was an opportunity for Nigerian physicians in the United States to vent their frustrations and demand explanations from top government officials and private sector players present over the lingering issues of decay in Nigeria's healthcare system. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Malam Sanusi Lamido, set the tone for the meeting with some mind-boggling statistics.
India issues about 35,000 medical visas every year to Nigerians. The UK does about 40,000. Egypt about 15,000, and Dubai in the region of 33,000. So just think about how much we spend on visas, on medical bills, on airline transportation, hotels, and so on, and think what that would do to the economy if it was retained.
Other speakers faulted the political process that has over the years run down the sector with very little investment.
For this year, I think it's about 5% that is allocated to health. But even then, there are very many components of that. Allocation is not the same as release.
And then the other thing is in technology. There's a huge technology gap as well. So not only there was no investment, there's also a technology gap.
But with over 5,000 Nigerian physicians blazing the trail in the United States and God knows how many elsewhere, experts believe Nigeria could be a medical destination country with their collaboration.
Like telecom and power, it's as if when we fool around onto something almost breaks down completely. And then the solution that we embrace is greater involvement of the private sector. I think that's going to happen as well in healthcare.
Many of you here, because of your Nigerian background, still think Nigeria. But I can't see the same thing of your children, who are far more detached. And if we lose this bracket, I think it's going to be phenomenally more difficult for medical repair.